Hey guys, welcome back to from Newcastle to Brighton as we're here back after 2 match weeks in the Premier League. We're here to talk some footy. So what's going on in the Prem here? There's a lot going on. Joe joined with my friend Jake. And Jake, what do you want to start up? I mean, I think we should start with you guys. Arsenal, you guys are top of the table, Man City.
Yeah, well, we've been playing great. First match against Crystal Palace. Like I said, our first episode, it's our bogey team that we're gonna lose to or draw to most of the time. They're a team that has our number, and we went to Selhurst Park and we got a result, 3 points. And I would say, even though it wasn't a hugely dominant performance, it was a fixture we'd probably draw or lose last season and previous years. We got 2 points, grinded it out, didn't concede a goal. Saliba played excellent. Gabby Jesus, even though he didn't provide a goal or an assist, he was absolutely brilliant as far as attacking play. He was great in and out of the box, running the channels, excellent. And I think that carried over into this week's match against Leicester, which would be, another interesting game, home opener. And Jesus had, 2 goals, 2 assists, just unbelievable from beginning to end. Got like 19 FPL points for somebody in our league. I don't know who it was, but he had a great week. Jesus had a fantastic game. I think we were essentially unplayable on the attack against Leicester. Our defense was a little bit shaky. Saliba had that own goal, which was a freak accident in my opinion. But Saliba had a decent game all around. Gabriel was great. Our midfield was solid, and our attack was excellent. Martinelli provided a goal again. I think he had an assist as well. Yeah, it was just a great performance all around from the team, and I'm really happy. 6 points, can't be happier.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal looked great. I didn't get to see the City game against, I believe it was Bournemouth, so I
Mhm.
can't really comment on them compared over 2 games. But I mean, boy, I thought against Crystal Palace, I thought that Arsenal looked a bit shaky. I wasn't really sold by that performance, if that makes sense. I thought, they scored a couple goals, they won 2-0, but I thought Palace played really, really well that game, and I thought they were unlucky to come away with no points in that one. But Leicester, absolute domination. Leicester shouldn't have even had 2 goals. It should have been a 4-0 drubbing. Could have been even more, to be completely honest with you. Hey, Jesus was missing some easy chances. But yeah, Arsenal look to be a force this year. I will be interested to see them when they play teams like a Man City, a Tottenham, a Liverpool. But I think they could go toe to toe with almost any of those teams. Maybe Bar City, but
Yeah, in October, October 1st, we start our run of games. We play like City, Tottenham, and like United, all in like about 5 weeks.
well, those are
That's going to
two
be
really good teams and one absolute garbage team you guys have to play.
yes, yes. But I believe it might be on the road. I don't know, but it's a litmus test. It kind of puts us in, are we really top four solidified if we can get results out of those games? Because usually we get destroyed in those games against City and Liverpool. So yeah, that'll be big in October for sure.
Absolutely. I guess let's move it over to the other side of North London. Tottenham, I thought they looked great against Southampton. Chelsea, they looked awful, but they were able to scam a point away from Chelsea. I mean, there's so much we could talk about with that game, but that might have to be like in a little short video of itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll take it. I think the best way to look at this, if you're a Tottenham supporter, is last season when Spurs played at home against Southampton, they lost. And last season when they went to the bridge, they lost. So they've made up 4 points already in 2 games than what they had last year. Now, obviously, you're going to lose some games you won last. I mean, I don't expect Spurs to take 6 points off of Man City again this year. But I mean, it's a step in the right direction. Getting a draw in a game that you didn't deserve to get any points in is huge. So you have to be happy from that. I'd like to see Basuma integrated into the lineup and Perisic for Sessegnon. Other than that, I think the team's looking okay. Sun looks shaky, but I mean, I'm sure he'll turn it around at some point. And Kane also starting off slow, but we know Kane starts off slow in August. This is nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, what's scary about the Spurs side is they got a good win against Southampton and a draw at Stamford Bridge, which they don't do, and their main guys really weren't firing like that. Kane had to come in the last second, last pick of the game, last header of the game to get a point. Son was essentially had a go sesh. Kulusevski didn't have a great game at all.
Richarlison actually came on and looked good. I'll
He
give him
looked lively. He looked very lively. So that's what bothers me because that's a result where Spurs are usually losing that game. They get a draw, And what happens when Son, Kane, and Kulusevski show up? What you're gonna get then? That's why I'm kind of afraid. I feel like this Tottenham team, they stay healthy and those strikers eventually start to warm up, they're gonna be a third place team easily. But they have to put it all together. And I think adding in Basuma is gonna be a big help. I think Sessègnon's a good player, but obviously Perisic was brought in to be that guy at a left wing back, I think. So
And Perisic is the reason that that they got a draw against Chelsea too, because he
Yeah,
was the guy
corner.
taking those corners. Who
Yeah.
I mean, 3 corners in a row that led, or 2 corners in a row that led to that third one that they eventually scored on.
Yeah. And we can get into the whole referee debate argument thing because that was the biggest thing coming out of yesterday, along with manager beefs because Conte and Tuchel can't really go a couple days without beefing each other nowadays. But still, it's a really big point one for Spurs. I'd say Chelsea needed to get 3 points in that game. I think they'd be disappointed to not come away with 3. But I feel like the referee decision, they felt they were robbed instead of, they kind of lost themselves. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I also think something that's overlooked in that is that the reason that corner got set up was because Kane Reece James took a bad foul on Kane on the edge of the box, which set up a free kick, which led to the corners, all that. If that doesn't happen, Spurs probably give the ball away and Chelsea, run out the clock at that point. But again, refs were awful that game. But yeah, I think another way to look at it is to tell you how each side looks at it. Look at the fans. Spurs fans are ecstatic about the draw, and Chelsea fans are very upset.
Yeah, that was something I really got from the game. I know some people were going at Arsenal. We drew at Wolves away last year. That was a huge result. But Tottenham also got a big result yesterday, and I think it's warranted. I think you're allowed to celebrate.
Yeah, especially if it's a last minute too. It's not if it was a draw and it was the 70th minute, Tottenham scored say Højbjerg, after Højbjerg's goal, there were no more goals in that game. That'd be very odd to celebrate. But if you score 90+6, come on, you score in the 96th minute, tie it up against your rivals. I didn't really understand the fan policing about the celebrations like that.
Yeah. And I'm all about Spurs slander, but I couldn't do it yesterday. If it was Arsenal, we went into the Etihad and we somehow scraped a draw in the last second, I'm going crazy.
Yeah,
we got 2 points.
Just think about the emotions that are going on between the players at that point too. That was just a dumb argument. But moving on from North London, I think we should take a trip over to Merseyside and talk about Liverpool right now because they've had 2 draws. And look, I think Liverpool sorts it out relatively quickly. I mean, it's Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. They're going to be fine in the long run. The problem is with the City juggernaut that they just look unstoppable so far, especially if Haaland truly gets. I know he didn't have a great game against Bournemouth, but I mean, I just feel like these drop points are points that might come back to haunt them at the end of the season.
Definitely. I spoke to our good friend Christian de Block earlier. He said Liverpool has to win games because City isn't going to drop points anytime soon. Again, like we said, Spurs is a team where they're getting results and their players, their forwards aren't playing fantastic. Haaland had a pretty go session. He had an assist yesterday or 2 days ago, or it was yesterday actually. Sorry, but to be fair, he didn't have a huge effect on the game, and they still won 4-0. And they're going to do that consistently all year. Liverpool has to grind out results now. They have to get 3 points. These 1-point games where over a team they should be beating Fulham. I don't care if it's away on the first day of the season, you should be beating Fulham. At home, Crystal Palace, we know they're going to have 2 low blocks. You have to get it through. That they're lucky to escape with a point today.
Yeah, especially because they lost Nunez for what, 3 games because it was a straight red.
Yeah, probably 3 games. And so,
I mean, you could argue that might be a benefit to them because I mean, we know how we feel about Nunez. I don't really think he's that good.
The only issue is they don't really have a striker going into the United game.
Yeah, because they used to play Mane false 9. Now they don't have Mane, so I guess you play Luis Diaz.
Diaz false 9. You could play.
Oh, Bobby Firmino.
I feel like he wasn't fit today. I could be wrong. He might be fit next week though, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Liverpool, and I don't think it's the midfield per se. They need a midfielder for sure. I think Thiago being out for a few weeks to maybe a month will be an issue. They don't want to put too much pressure on Carvalho early on. They just signed a midfielder, but it's not really the problem. It's just they're slow out of the blocks for some reason. I don't know what it is. They don't have that sharpness, which I thought they would have. So they need to really pick up points quickly because if they don't get points quick enough, That City gap could be 9 to 12 points in a few weeks, and it's going to be like, okay, the league might be done.
And it was that big this earlier last season, but remember, Liverpool had a bunch of games in hand. Right now, there's not those games in hand.
Yeah, exactly. And City didn't have a striker. City has Holland. They can make up those goals very quickly. Like they did that without a striker. They played that Jesus on the right wing basically that whole season, and we're still. They did lose that ground, but they were still obviously in the driver's seat for most of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very nervous for them. And then the other side of Merseyside, the blue side of Merseyside, Everton's an absolute mess right now. I had them going down from the beginning, and I still stand by that. They don't look good. Anthony Gordon is their best player, and it looks like he might be getting sold to Chelsea.
That's crazy.
What are they doing over there? Like Frank Lampard, we know he's not a good manager. Dele Alli's a shell of his former self, and he can't even start on that team. Damari Gray's not bad. I'll give him that.
Inconsistent though, very inconsistent.
Exactly. I just don't see the positive of this team. It's not even like they have a great coach who can overcome it, or a coach that's used to being in relegation battles. They got Frank Lampard.
The issue I see with Everton, you can't let Anthony Gordon go at all. And if he's going, there's like a 70 million pound bid for him, which is crazy for Anthony Gordon, but it's because of the situation that Chelsea's in. They kind of need a striker. But the thing is, they need a replacement. They can't just get 70 mil and just have nobody else up top.
Yeah, this is late in the transfer window too. Who are they going to go out and get at that point?
They need to hold on to that. I don't care if Chelsea offer you 100 mil. You keep Anthony Gordon, maybe go survive this year, maybe go next year without him. But this year you need him, and you're going to need Calvert-Lewin to come back eventually. I don't know when his timetable for his return is going to be. You're already missing Ben Godfrey for at least 3-4 months because he broke his leg, in that first match against Chelsea. It's rough. It's ugly. They go into every match with not knowing if they're going to get points. That's really bad. That's relegation form. Like, I think generally Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, teams down there have a better feeling they're going to get points more than Everton. Everton looks like an underdog every week, and that's really bad. For Frank Lampard, the entire Everton organization looks really bad.
Yeah. Moving around, I think we should go to Manchester now. I mean, we've kind of touched on City a lot. I mean, they just look great. I don't know what else to say. I mean, Erling Haaland looks like an absolute machine out there. And I don't want to say invincible because they're not going to go invincible. Let's be honest. But I could totally see this team eclipsing 100 points. I thought the loss of Sterling, and who was that? They lost Sterling and Jesus.
And Zinchenko, but he's not really goal scoring.
I think they almost lost Bernardo Silva too, but it looks like he's going to be staying.
Yeah, he might be staying.
So I mean, overall, I thought, that team. There's a reason why I had Liverpool winning the league this year. I thought they'd miss those signings a little bit more, but those players, I should say, a little bit more than they look to be doing so far.
Yeah, it's really scary. This team is. I don't have much to say about them because they're just so well oiled. They are primed for a Champions League title finally. They must get it this year. I don't know what else I have to say. They should have won it in past seasons. This is the year that they have to get UCL. They only have 1 or 2 teams in the whole of Europe that can challenge them. I believe they're the best team in Europe on their day. They're unplayable. I think in the league, you could be talking about 100-plus point season again. Centurions again. This team is crazy. They're going to rack up the points, rack up the goals. It's going to get very scary for a lot of people.
And they look good early too. That was one thing I was they might, with all the whole kind of new up front, I thought maybe that, they'd struggle a little bit early on, and that could, have Liverpool kind of, keep pace with them and then have it a run at the end. But now, I don't want to say historically, but, City kind of will start off a little bit slower and then really around January, absolutely not lose a game. They might drop points here and there in the beginning of the season, but I don't know.
The one thing we saw too when we watched that game, they are masters at controlling tempo of games. When they feel the pressure piling on against West Ham, when they kind of felt it away, they slowed the whole game plan down. Everything slowed down. And the game kind of got boring and slow. That's when they struck again and Haaland scored. And then you're down 2-0 and it's over. They can do that consistently with almost any team. That's why they're so dangerous. They can control the tempo, quick passing, slow it down, and then eventually just hit you on the counter. Done.
The way I describe City is they're just 1,000 paper cuts to death. They'll pass you 1,000 passes to death. Paper cut torture. It's just It's not fun to watch. I'll be honest. They're not a fun team to watch when they're not playing like a Spurs, an Arsenal, a Liverpool, like a big side like that, or a great counterattack side. But boy, is it effective. When they're in that 10 o'clock spot, or that's our time. I don't know what time that would be UK time, but
or like 2:33, something like that.
yeah,
Early afternoon games,
4 or 5-0 on the Saturday. Like, the result before they even step on the pitch.
Yeah.
But some of the more interesting side of Manchester now, the United side, boy, are they in trouble right now. They're just a total mess. I don't know why they decided to start keep De Gea and let Dean Henderson go. They have a terrible goalkeeper. Their striking situation is bad. I mean, they had to start Ronaldo on, but now apparently even Eric Ten Hag wants Ronaldo out. It's an absolute mess, and it's a shame, to be honest, because a lot of it goes back to the Glazers and their ownership problems, not investing in the club at all and not really caring, which is a shame. But they might not finish. I mean, I don't know if they're going to finish top 6 for sure. That might be a stretch at this point, but I could see him finishing closer to 9th, 10th at this rate if this keeps up.
The issue is Ten Hag does not have his players. So you have him going into a transitional year with players he does not want, which can give you 8th place just by that merit alone. We saw with Arsenal. I think Arsenal finished 8th 2 years in a row. It was very poor. That's with Unai Emery's team that Arteta did not want to use. We cannot play our brand of football with those players. Ten Hag wants to play a certain brand of football, and he cannot do that with these players. It is very clear from the keeper to the striker, the team is rotten. It's very clear. I savor it because I'm a United hater. I dislike United. But honestly, top down, they are not a good team. I don't see too many difference makers on the pitch for United. And that Brentford result is just embarrassing. It's pathetic.
I mean, playing Eriksen as a DM is all like, I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, I get why you don't want to play McTominay. Don't get me wrong. Like, I completely understand that. But Eriksen as a DM is just like, why would you? It's Eriksen. Play him as a 10, or at least play him as like an advanced 8 at worst.
Yeah, which he played him in the first game. The thing was, people say you can't blame Ten Hag for this result. I mean, no, you can't fully because the team is very bad. Yes,
and also De Gea just had absolute 3 stinkers in a row.
Yeah, so you can't fully put on Ten Hag, but he set his team up with, okay, we're going to have a four in the back. We're going to put a single pivot, and the singular pivot is Eriksen, who's not a 6, and he used to play for Brentford, so they know how he's going to play. They know he doesn't want to have his back to his facing goal, back to the strikers. He doesn't want to do that. Brentford's going to put him in traps because they know how he plays. Why would you put him as a single pivot by himself, leaving him about to die? Happened twice. That's how they scored twice, basically. Yeah. It's embarrassing. It's novice from Ten Hag because I don't expect that from him. I expect him to double pivot, even if McTominay playing or Fred, whatever. At least it's more defensive security. But you put an 8 in a 6 position by himself in front of a Maguire and Lisandro Martinez pairing. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it was shocking, that game. And it was like, it was like watching the Titanic sink. It was just like, why? Like, look, like we all kind of knew that United wasn't going to be that good this year, but that was just like, wow.
Yeah. I said they were going to lose that game. I think it was going to be 4-0 at halftime. I said, okay, Brentford 2-1, let's go. 4-0 at halftime, I was shocked. They shocked me.
Yeah. And Brentford's doing well. I had them staying up this year, so good job, Brentford.
I have them relegated. That's really bad on my part. I think they're actually going to stay up.
They're in 3rd place right now, 4 points.
They're going to probably stay in the midfield, that mid-table area. Honestly, they're improving. They're much better than I thought they were going to be.
Let's see. Where should we go to next from here? Do you want to go to Brighton? I mean, they thought they looked good.
Did they draw? I feel like
they drew. They drew.
Who did they play? Fulham? Was that someone else?
Or did they play?
Because I was watching the City game when they were playing. There were like 3 games happening at the same time. So.
They drew against Newcastle 0-0.
Okay, that's kind of no.
Oh, right to Newcastle. Oh,
right to Newcastle, which is perfect. We should have been on that, but
yeah,
it's interesting because I think those are 2 teams on the ascendancy. I think Brighton's a very good team because of their coach, Graham Potter. He's excellent. I think Newcastle has a lot of good players, and I think they're gonna have trouble. They play City next, so they're gonna have a rough time next week. But Newcastle is a really, really good side. on their day, especially at home. 0-0 is kind of, I wouldn't say expected, but they're both kind of on the up. There's not too many difference makers. Brighton sold Neil Maupay to Nottingham Forest, so they're going to rely
They
on
have a
getting
ton of
Welbeck.
money right now, Brighton, after all their transfers. White last year, Basuma this year. I feel like they sold another big player too. This Kukurea.
Gray was like 67,
Like
60
they have
something,
a
yeah.
ton of money that they could
And
be,
then
hooking something like get Graham Potter a striker. I don't know why he doesn't want a striker.
they got the money. They just got 15 for Neil Maupay. They need a replacement. I mean, go out and get somebody. They can probably afford.
He thinks he's Pep playing with a false nine without a striker. Like your team's not City, man.
Yeah, I think they finished their best finish ever was 9th last year. If they want to repeat, they need a solid striker.
X Graham, I've been on him since when did I start standing Graham Potter?
I would say 2 seasons ago plus probably.
So when he first came in, then I guess.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was
1920 was his first season, if I remember correctly.
I feel like it was 2020. You really saw him actually. I think he got some results against Spurs, I believe. I'm not wrong.
Did he?
I got some results against Spurs. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like he played well against Spurs multiple times. And we watched him play against other decent sides and actually do well. And then obviously last week he just put in a masterclass against United. Perfect, I think.
Yeah, he's great. When Conte leaves, that's what I want to coach Spurs. Keep the 3 at the back, just let him cook. Let's finish up with you choose a team to finish up with here, Jake.
So the interesting game of the week I found was actually Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. I watched most of that game. It was the
7:30 kickoff.
7:30 game kickoff. Yeah.
Wait, no, my bad. It wasn't 7:30. It was 9, I think.
Yeah, it probably was 9.
It was the first game on Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday. Because I remember Saturday, the first game was Everton Villa, which was terrorist ball, unfortunately. But Nottingham Forest West Ham was fun to watch because I want to see how especially Lingard would play in his new settings. It's City ground at Nottingham Forest and West Ham. They got outplayed thoroughly by City last week. I want to see how they respond. They weren't that convincing. They hit the crossbar twice. They had a goal disallowed, I believe. But Nottingham Forest kept up with them the entire time. And I think they're going to be good. They have so much money. I mean, they just bought like 5 new players in the last week. They have like 4 people coming in to, replenish that squad. The hope is that they can stay up this year because if they go down, they're going to have a big problem, next year in the championships. They want to
They got Dean Henderson, and Dean Henderson, remember, he was able to keep Sheffield United up. It was a big reason for that. So
yeah, he played well yesterday as well.
He saved the pen. I saw that happened.
Saved the penalty. Yeah. So Declan Rice penalty. Yeah. So I like that game.
Declan Rice taking their pens, by the way. I feel like that's kind of odd.
I thought it would be Antonio, but usually Mark Noble would take their pens. But Mark Noble's been not playing.
He just retired,
and he wasn't playing that much last year. I don't know who took their pens last year. To be honest, I would think it would be Antonio, but.
I just find it weird having a DM take your pens.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I get Jorginho does it for Chelsea.
He's captain though. I guess they just give him because he's the captain.
I thought Kovacic was a captain.
Who?
I thought Kovacic was a captain.
Oh, who are you talking about? Chelsea?
Yeah.
I was talking about Declan Rice.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jorginho. That's why he takes the penalties.
No. I don't even know who's captain for Chelsea. I'm not gonna lie. Probably make Kovacic. I don't know. But as far as West Ham go, Declan Rice is the captain. So maybe that's why they give him the penalties. I don't know. I wouldn't do that anymore. I'd probably give it to a striker. But that's just me. The game was fun to watch. City Ground was interesting. It was jumping because it was the first game up in like 23 years. So,
yes, it's 99, I think it was, they said.
Yeah, so it's been 23 years since they've been in the top flight. It was raucous. Like I said, it reminded me of the Brentford game last year when Arsenal played. It was like the first time they'd been in the Prem in so long. It's loud. It's a lot of energy. They get that goal and the place explodes, and they held on. Get a win.
Yeah, I have to respect it. I saw some of that game too. I thought Nottingham Forest played pretty well. So it's nice to see some different teams up in the Prem. Looking at you, Fulham and Norwich. But yeah, Fulham, they're going down. I don't really care what you say. I don't care. What are they at right now, points wise?
Well, I mean, they got a point last week. I think they drew again this week. I think they drew to Wolves.
Yeah, they're 2 points.
They're
going down.
They missed a pen. Congrats to Norwich for your promotion. See you next year, of course.
I know, right? Well, what are the standings for the championship right now, man?
I don't know. I mean, the best teams are like Burnley, West Brom, and Norwich. It's like the yo-yo.
Yeah,
teams.
Burnley. Do you think they're gonna come up?
And they might. Companies.
I heard they're sneaking it up right now.
Company's their coach. I don't know how good they're gonna be over the course of the season, but I think they won their first game.
Norwich is in 24th right now.
Well, I mean, it's only in the season. They play like 2 games, maybe 3 games.
3 games, they have 1 point. Hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna go up still, but
You
yo,
know,
yo.
Blackburn, maybe we see them come up.
I want to see different teams, man.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace made a name for themselves. They've been sticking up every single year. Southampton as well. They come up from the championship and they stay up. So I want to see more of
I
them.
mean, they have some big teams down there right now that could all really fight. I mean, obviously Norwich, they always come. I mean, big for the championship, I should say.
Mhm.
Watford is
Yeah.
another team that could be interesting.
Yo-yo club.
Burnley. I mean, those are the 3 that got relegated last year, but you still have Sheffield United who might be able to make a run. I don't think Swansea makes a run, but Cardiff.
I think Ismaila Sarr just got signed to a Prem club. I can't remember who it was though. But he's moving from Watford back to the Prem. I can't remember who bought him. I've been Nottingham Forest, honestly. I don't know.
Might have been them.
But yeah, they're signing everybody.
As they should. Stay up, boys. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Newcastle Brighton. Hopefully we'll make a video next week or something like that instead of going 2 weeks out. But gave us a lot of content for this week, so that was great.
See you in the next one.